So, I mean, we went through similar things. We went through similar things. And we both have our story of bad religion gone wrong. And now that, I share that, I also want to share with you my story. I don't know his story because he was so private. But something wasn't right. I could tell as time went by. You don't go to church on Sundays. You only go on Saturdays. You don't celebrate Christmas. I just start noticing the changes in Tom. And I was like, where is he going to church at? What is going on? Somebody is feeding him something that just ain't right. And he began to get less talkative and more quieter and quieter, to now, to he didn't talk much. And so we both, I know my story and he have his. So my story is, oh God, I left the church, my home church, and I had an aunt that I was really close to. She became a pastor, and I thought at the time that she was my best friend because she was the only one that was around, and I grew that confidence in her to talk to her about everything. I looked up to this woman like she was my mom. I didn't know how bad I was going to suffer behind her. But I looked up to this woman like she was my mama, my friend, because mama wasn't around. Nobody was around. I had another aunt that offered me to come stay with her, but I didn't because I didn't know her. And I want to also make it known that my brothers both asked me to come live with them. I turned them down. I turned them down because I was scared. I didn't know them. I knew them by conversation, but I didn't know them by living with them. And to this day, I'm glad I didn't go with neither one of my brothers, because I had to find my own way, and I found it, and it felt good. I'm glad that I didn't go with neither one of them, because it ain't nothing like finding your own way, and I did that by the grace of God. But this aunt that I got close with, for some reason, everybody had this bad taste in their mouth about her. I didn't, because she was always coming to grandma's house, and we just became close, at least I thought. But we had talks, family talks, and I really thought that she was my best friend. I really thought I was real. I was real with the connection that I thought we had. And so she said that God called her to be a pastor. And I liked what she was doing. And in the beginning, I'm not going to say everything that I went through with her was bad. I learned some stuff from her. I did. I learned some good things from her. We had Bible study, and it seemed like, when she first started her ministry, this ministry could have been great. It could have been awesome. But I'm telling you, Y'all just don't have a clue. I couldn't tell you all on this camera, but I'm going to give you main points of what I've been through behind religion and family. But when she started out, I really believed in her. And I told her, I said, I want to come with you. And I chose to go and be with her. And I left that church and went with her. I was her first member outside of her husband and her children. So I was her first person, even though I was still family, but I was like the first person that joined her church. And I went faithfully. It was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us. And we went to church like always. We didn't get caught up on the crowd, and we did what we had to do to grow as a ministry. But it's like, soon as I joined her church, I went through hell. She began to get very controlling. She began to tell me stuff that was wrong, and teachings was wrong. I thought it was right. And now that I look back at it, I realize it was wrong. Because I remember one time she was teaching this scripture from Psalm 70. And Psalm 70 talk about, make haste, O God, to help me. Make haste to deliver me, O Lord. And she was saying that scripture meant money come quick. I'm sorry, I have to laugh because it sounds foolish and it's stupid. And that's not what it means. Right? So it sounds crazy. But I told her, I said, I'm confused. I'm confused. And then she was like, there is no confusion in this church. No, we bind that. I said, I didn't quite get that. And she told us, it was another lady in the church with us, and she told us to go on some kind of experience and watch how money gonna work for us or something. So I got to work, and my register was short. And I'm like, I know I didn't take it. And so they found the money though. But I thought, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, that's what she was talking about. But now that I look at it now, we had some things that happened to us in that moment that was not good. It was not good that my register was short. The other lady, I don't remember her testimony, but I remember mine. And that, I just want to make this perfectly clear. After I left and I researched that kind of stuff she was doing, that's witchcraft. It's really real. That's witchcraft. Witchcraft. Anybody that practice witchcraft, they use psalms to manipulate the scriptures. And I didn't see all of that at the time in that ministry. So I kept going through some things. I'm talking about, and just listening to her, and she began to groom me. She began to tell me, I'm the pastor, and you listen to only me. Trust nobody but me. Don't put your trust in other people. Trust nobody but me. I'm, the leader. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, this is, if this is the way to stay closer to God, this is what I plan to do, because I want to make it in. I want to be obedient. So I'm like, okay. So she began to say, you're a private person, so you can open up to me. So I began to open up to her about hurt and all that stuff. Told her a lot of things about what happened with me, with mama and my family, and all of that. What she was doing, she was getting all my information and she was using it against me. That's what witches do. I'm just being real. That's what they do. That's what witchcraft is. You know, let me tell you something real quick. When you're a prophet, you don't have to know somebody. God will give you a word about somebody. They don't even know you. And he'll drop it in their spirit and they'll tell you. But when you have to fish for information, you have to learn a person to know them, that's a false prophet. But anyway, I stayed with her for 6 years. 6 years. I even got married at a short period of time, and it was the biggest regret of my life. I got married so quickly because the pressure. Oh, you don't want to be shacking. You don't want to be sleeping around. And so I jumped and got married because of the pressure from the church. Go ahead, marry. He good. You know, y'all just want to do it right. And this man was not nothing of a Christian. He was fake. And me thinking I'm trying to do the right thing, I'm going to jump and marry him. And when I got married, he put me through. But I didn't stay in it. We stayed together 3 months. I told him, I said, you will never bring me down. So your life may be in the gutter, but you're not going to pull mine down. He didn't get it right in 3 months. It was physical abuse, cursing each other out, fighting. I couldn't take it. He left. I got my locks changed. I went to the courthouse, and I didn't care. And even my grandma was saying, well, if you're married one time, you know you can't marry no more. You know, divorce is a sin. I didn't care. All I knew, I was in pain. I kept asking my aunt. She was my pastor at the time. I said, what do I do? I don't know. I don't want to tell you. Well, you know, what do I do? What do I do? I had got some common sense. I went to that courthouse. I got me a lawyer. I had lost my job at the time. I paid for that divorce on unemployment. I was determined to get out of that marriage. I didn't care how much it cost. I went without. I wanted out. And that's what I did. That's what I did. And even though I was still in bondage, but people still walked up to me and said, wow, I salute you, because you didn't stay and let a man bring you down. And I was still under her ministry. So, you know, and it's like, she watched me go through things, and she sat back and like she wanted to see my life brought down. And I mean, if I didn't go to church at this woman's church, she have a church in Mississippi, and I have a church. You know, I lived in Chatham. I didn't go to church. She would call on my phone every day. She fixed it. You can call me every day. Call me every day, because I'm the pastor, and the anointing is on me, and you can't get nothing. You're gonna get it through me. I'm believing that. And I'm going around, oh, my pastor this and pastor that and pastor. And don't you talk about my pastor, because if you talk about my pastor, then God. But one thing about me, though, I never got out in the public, because I never wanted people to think I was crazy. I was always quiet. I had my apartment, went to myself, but I never really put her out there like that, because I ain't want people. I knew in the back of my mind something wasn't right. But I stayed because I felt like that was the only friend I had. So I stayed, and then I stayed because I thought that this was a way of getting closer to God. And I'm going to tell you something. From a spiritual perspective, everything that feels like the Spirit of God is not. It's not. It's not at all. So, I stayed. Many times I wanted to leave. I remember going to church, and my grandmother and her husband had decided to join the church, and I really wanted to leave then because I didn't want to see his face. And the pastor told me the only way I can heal is to look at him. And she told me, I went in her office and I told her I was going through the divorce and all of that. And she told me, she said, if you ever leave this ministry, you will die. This is my aunt too, but she's a pastor. She said, if you ever leave this church, you will die. Not a spiritual death, when you will naturally, they'll have a funeral quick for you. And fear made me stay. I tell people that story, they're like, people laugh about like, yeah, I'm going to die one day. But I want people to understand the self-esteem where I was. The low self-esteem where I was vulnerable at that moment. So, of course, I'm going to believe that. Because she made me feel like I had nowhere else to go. So, it wasn't that I was crazy. Or it wasn't that I was, couldn't think for myself. I had been through so much already. And just to find one good person to stick by my side, I believed everything she said. Because nobody else was there. So it wasn't that I was crazy. It was fear. It was fear of going through any more pain. I had been through enough. So out of fear, I stayed. More people kept joining and coming in. And it's like she used me when the new people would come in. It's like she used me to go be friends with these people and get their information of who they was and go back and tell her. That's wrong. That's so wrong. And I remember one time, I had lost everything by that time. It's like when I went on her ministry, I lost my job. I got married, lost that, had a car accident. Could have killed me. But I didn't get hurt. I survived by the grace of God. And we were driving at the church and I was still in pain. And my aunt told me, when you told me your register was certain dollars short, I knew something bad was going to happen to you. And I'm in pain. I'm in physically pain. She said that. I was limping and everything. Just hard times. But I stayed. So I kept staying. I remember being in church service. If I wasn't paying attention, she'd be in the midst of her sermon preaching, and she'd get up in front of my face. You need to pay attention. That's why you ain't growing, because you ain't paying attention. Call me out. I was hurt because my grandmother had a car, and I didn't have a car, and I wanted to drive to where her church was. And she let another stranger, and this man had seizures. You hear me? This man had seizures, and he drove, and they entrusted him. I had not had seizures at the time. I was over the seizures, but they trusted a total stranger to drive a car, and they told me I can't drive. I can't do this. I can't drive. And I was so upset. I'm like, wow, how they gonna do that? And then she got up in front of the church and put it out in front of everybody. I told mama to let them drive. So you want to be mad at somebody, you need to be mad at me. In front of the whole congregation. Get up. Had me to stand up. Tell them you sorry. I said, what you doing? Do it. Hurt me so bad. My God. Hurt me so bad. The embarrassment. And she never said, I'm sorry. She never said, I'm sorry. Because she's, in her mind, she the pastor. Just embarrassment. And nobody ever said, I'm sorry for what I did to you. All my money, I got so sick. I had to end up getting back on disability. Depression. Post-traumatic stress disorder. Major depression. Second time. Didn't want to. Listen to the pastor. You can't work. Look at you. See, every time you try to get a job, you can't focus, you can't work. Do it. Got back on it. Got back in the system. It's like she did the same thing that grandmama had did to me. God had freed me, gave me a job. I already knew the way. But I allowed my vulnerability with a family member to put me back in bondage. Put me back in bondage. And I was so depressed those years. God, I was so depressed. So, I went through all of that. And I stayed. More people started coming in. And as more people started coming in the church, I was treated like dirt. And as new people kept coming in, I noticed how she treated them with love and made them feel, we're going to show love. She basically trained me on how to show people love. Her way of showing them love. It wasn't real. It's just training. And then all these people start coming in. I feel such a great presence here, love. You gotta learn how to talk to God for yourself. I feel such a great, wonderful presence. She was grooming them, playing on their emotions. And to this day, I haven't been back to that church going on 10, 11, 12, 13.